water is. I ate something green yesterday I never ate before. Well, of course, as a matter of fact, in the last 3 weeks, I've been eating stuff I never ate before ever, but it's very interesting. I ate fennel. Yeah. Well, I never ate fennel before. It's not bad. Oh, call the meeting to order. Didn't realize we were on. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. The first thing today would be the agenda for the meeting of March 20th. The agenda, I think everybody has it before them on their iPad and not in print form today. Are there any additions to be added to the agenda? I see one for planning, Mr. Aker. There's two, is there? Two different items for planning. Okay, is there any other items outside of the agenda as listed to be put into the agenda today? I'll accept the motion on the agenda, moved by Councillor Ledwell, seconded by Councillor Aker. Any question or comment? All those in favor? Contrary-minded motion is carried. First item on the agenda then would be the minutes of the meeting of March 6th. That would be the public meeting of March 6th. Well, before I do that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Moved by Councillor Stoyles, seconded by Deputy Mayor Locke. Are there any errors or omissions? Errors or omissions? Going once, going twice. Hearing none. All in favor? Motion is carried. Business arising then from the minutes of March 6th. Business arising from March 6th. I feel like I'm calling bingo. Business are under the B. Business arising.
In bingo, you'll always get the taker.
Here you might not. I'm assuming that we do not have a taker on business arising, so we will move on to the next item on the agenda, proclamations. Council, we have two proclamations we're going to sign into the record today. We do not have speakers for them joining us this afternoon. The first one is Newfoundland and Labrador Multiculturalism Week. I think everybody would have received this pamphlet, would be on your desk here. This pamphlet, and I think most people would have received this lapel button as well. Together we rock, celebrating cultural diversity. Okay, they're all down there somewhere. The proclamation has a series of whereases, but for our purposes today, then I'll just read into the record the actual proclamation itself. Be it resolved that I, Mayor Randy Sims, do hereby proclaim the week of March 18th through to the 24th, 2012, to be Multiculturalism Week. I encourage all residents of the community to recognize that diversity is our strength and to support community celebrations aimed at fostering respect, equality, and cross-cultural understanding. Dated this at Mount Pearl, this 20th day of March 2012, and I'm going to ask that our Deputy Clerk, Mona Lewis, you'll see to it that a copy of that signed proclamation gets to the right people. Anybody with a comment on it at all, by the way? The next item is a proclamation recognizing Purple Day for Epilepsy, and that is going to be March 26th this year. A number of whereases that Purple Day is a global effort dedicated to promoting epilepsy awareness in countries around the world. It was founded by 9-year-old Cassidy Megan of Nova Scotia. Epilepsy is one of the most common neurological conditions. It affects over 10,000 people in Newfoundland and Labrador and over 300,000 people in Canada and 50 million people worldwide. Purple Day will be celebrated on March 26th, and that is annually, to increase understanding, reduce stigma, and improve the quality of life for people with epilepsy throughout the country and globally. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Randy Sims, Mayor of the City of Mount Pearl, do hereby proclaim March 26th as Purple Day in an effort to raise the awareness and understanding of epilepsy and to support all those who live with seizures each day. I will sign that one as well for the records, and we will see to it again that a copy of the proclamation gets returned to the Epilepsy Association of Newfoundland and Labrador. Correspondence, none listed for us today. The first committee report is Public Works. Councillor Walsh, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. We're going to just continue our trend of providing some updates to Council. It is spring. but it's not very spring-like.
What? When did that happen?
I don't think it happened yet. It's just on the calendar. It's on the calendar only, so
Yeah.
we still have a ways to go
At
around here.
2:44 a.m., the sun crossed the line.
I think
so-
we actually, I think we jumped from winter to summer at some point, and it's a
There
very
is no
long,
spring.
tedious process for the most part. But in our Public Works Department, Your Worship, we're actually toying with some of the tidbits of spring operations, things like deploying during shifts some of our summer street cleaning equipment. For example, our crews, and we've had a couple of complaints in some of the commercial areas, and our night crews in particular have been responding to some cleanup operations in some of the larger commercial areas. And our UTM crews have also started preparations. They haven't actually and are not ready to start hydrant flushing, but getting ready for the hydrant flushing program. One of the things that's kind of interesting, well, there are a couple of things that we've been working on, one of which we'll be rolling out tonight in committee, but in the next couple of weeks we want to pique the interest of the public for some new and exciting things happening there. But it's the whole business of line painting. We've been talking for some time, Your Worship, about whether or not there's something we can do to retain, at least in the major intersections, some semblance of line painting. So people who are not as familiar with the thoroughfares and main intersections throughout the city as we are would have some indication as to where they should be in terms of lanes and turning lanes or straight through lanes or whatever the case may be. So we're actually piloting a couple of interesting things. We won't get into the details right now, but our director, Mr. Antle, and his staff are actually in the throes of doing some research, compiling data that will lead to what we hope will be a bit of a pilot project. So some exciting things happening there. So just a little
You mean
update.
a pilot project to put lines down that
relating
stay?
relating to lines and different ways of actually placing lines in major intersections, and some other work beyond paint that we may be able to do that might be able to retain some more of a prolonged presence, because this time of the year in particular is the absolute worst.
It's very dangerous driving
It's
in some
dangerous,
areas.
and for those of us who are a little more familiar with going through the city in the major intersections, perhaps not so, but it's still dangerous because you see traffic coming through that are not familiar, and it's really a problem. That's it for me, just information, and happy to pass it along. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just before we finish, then, Councillor, I'm going to pose a question either to yourself, you may know already, or to Mr. Antle. In light of the fact that we've heard reports, and they've been confirmed now, that the bridge, the now infamous overpass that exists, is going to be delayed by pretty well close to almost a year. It's going to be late August, apparently, before they get this thing done. Does that have implications for us in particular with what's happening on Mount Carson?
I'm not aware.
No one has informed you that there would be any delay in getting Mount Carson completed on schedule? Okay, thank you.
The only thing that
Something to be, the same company has the task, and that's my concern.
the biggest delay there. If I
I'm
could
sorry,
just
go
make
ahead, Councillor Walsh.
Mr. Antle would have any of the technical information. The biggest delay, I think, in terms of the east-west traffic has been resolved. The problem is the actual overpass is not functional the other way. It's not north-south, it's not functional. But for a while, if you recall, all the traffic going east-west had to actually bypass the entire thing, going up over dirt road and an incline. That part is relieved, and the underpass portion of it is opened. So that's a little bit of relief, particularly for residents of Paradise, CBS, who are going that way. But it's going to be a long delay before the actual overpass is functioning at full capacity, and that's a bit of a challenge for everybody.
The concern that I have is that we've had Mount Carson in throes now for about 2 years.
It's going to get worse before it gets better.
And it's going to get worse before it gets better. We know that. But given that it's the same company, and the company says the delay is labor driven, that's why I'm concerned that maybe we should make it a point to check and confirm that we are still on schedule with them, because the road going up the hill there is not in anything near appropriate condition. We're suffering through it because, as Councillor Walsh says, things get worse before they get better, and they're going to get worse again before the summer. But so I wouldn't want to see any further delay trying to get up Mount Carson and get it as fixed as we can. Thank you for that. That's all there was in Council for Public Works. We are moving to Community Services Committee. If this thing ever happens for me, Councillor Tessier, You're up.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first item on our agenda is, just for Council's information, some disappointing news. The Student Employment Center, which was federally funded, is no longer going to be in operation in our community or any community. My understanding is across Newfoundland and Labrador and potentially the country. Is that right, Ms. Peach? Not sure about the country,
Correct.
but
No, that's correct.
so it's actually
It's countrywide. It's a national cut.
That funding has been cut, so this is really for everybody's information. The focus, of course, is going to be on electronic promotion. People can go online and, I guess, search the job bank, which, as we all know, is terribly convenient. Of course, if you can do that from the comfort of your own home, but there is something very important about having a heartbeat at the desk across from you when you're looking at filling out a resume properly, or when you need some coaching on how to conduct yourself in an interview for a job. So this is very disappointing news, I have to say, but it is tabled for everybody's information.
By way of a question, if I might?
Sure.
I don't know whether committee has looked at it or not, but have we made or are we considering making available to students in our community access to an electronic pathway for them? I'm thinking in terms of perhaps permission from the resource library. Is there somewhere if somebody wants to access the job site on the internet and they don't have it, is what I'm thinking of.
Could we link that to our city website?
Do we have that readily available for people in our community?
Yeah, I think
Right.
we could look at.
I think it
yeah,
would be
we could
nice
look
to
at-
have if we could
And
do
of
it.
course, if anybody needs that information, it's just to give us a call as well.
Yep.
We'll happily provide it.
Thank you.
We also asked about access to, say, computers, too.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, like if okay, so now you've got to make application and you want to find out if there's a job out there, you got to look for it somewhere. I fully realize that the vast majority of people in our community have access to their
Not
own personal
everybody, though.
computers.
Not everybody.
But not everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, do we have a system available either through the city or through the resource
Yeah.
library
People can use our library for that.
that kids can say, yeah, we're
Yeah.
going, we can go there?
Yeah, they can use our library for
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Anyway, I do see it as a step back. I mean,
Oh.
even though it's progression, I see it as a step back.
Want me to write a snotty letter to Stephen Harper? I love doing that.
I'm not impressed, I will tell you that. But anyway, I'm sure it's not going to end there.
What do you think? Can I write a snotty letter to Stephen Harper?
Why not?
All in favor?
Why not?
Stephen Harper, you
Why
big
not?
turkey.
Well, really, though, it's just very disappointing.
It is. It's very sad, I have to say.
Next item, not so disappointing. We actually received a letter, a very lovely complimentary letter from the Vera Perlin Society. As we all know, the Perlin players performed during the Frosty Festival, and they wrote us a lovely letter complimenting our Reed Center staff on the support that they received during the Frosty Festival. So we wanted to do a little bit of bragging about that. We like to bring the good news forward more than the bad news. So that was something that we thought everybody should be fully aware of as well. And I know that we all very much enjoyed the performance that night. It was absolutely fabulous. Yeah, everybody left with a big grin on their face, as they should, because we were all very well entertained. Also, as we all know, that there were some issues with the glacier, with the new glacier and the existing glacier with heat transfer, trying to find the right balance on the temperature control in that building, and we've been dealing with that, and we've since received a letter as well from somebody complimenting it, saying now it looks like it's figured out, because they're finding it very much more comfortable to sit and watch the game.
The new glacier, the old?
This is the old glacier.
The old
The old glacier watching a game. That's my understanding. Yeah.
It was freezing every time I was there this year.
There was a,
That's why it's called the glacier.
there was just a, yeah.
They're saying now that the temperature control seems to be a little more balanced.
Yeah, it was in the end more of a misunderstanding than a technical problem about what had to be done. What happens up there, and it happened when we were at a game, when you get 500 or 600 people in the room, they breathe out CO2, and
Yeah.
the unit reads it and starts pumping in fresh air.
Yeah.
Well, there's supposed to be an attachment to that says, let's warm this air before it goes in, and that was not, at one point, actually turned on. It wasn't engaged. So what you were getting was fresh air, but it was really cold. And apparently that happened several times, but it's been
It's
corrected.
crispy.
A
It's
new
crispy.
system has
Yeah.
been put in place.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot more balanced.
I got to say, it's a lot more comfortable there
It
now.
is indeed.
Next year at the hockey games, we'll all be happier.
Well,
Especially if they're winning.
that's right.
We'll talk.
Next item, of course, the Mount Pearl Merlins are at it again. They're nonstop, and their great success needs to be celebrated as well. They recently participated in the Eastern Canadian Championships at Gatineau, Quebec, and that was in February. And we want to recognize Kristen Denine, Becca Dyer, Ryan Adams, and Gavin Dyke on their outstanding performances. Special congratulations goes out to Gavin. Gavin's been swimming since he was just a little tiny boy, and he must be like a dart in the water now. He accomplished his senior national qualifying time and 2 provincial records in the 800-meter freestyle, taking 11 seconds off his personal best. And that's really important with swimming. With swimming, you really compete against yourself. You compete against what your score was, what your time was during your last swim, or your personal best time. So that's quite an accomplishment. 11 seconds is a very, very long time. Gavin also placed 6th in his 1,500-meter freestyle. He's now eligible to represent the Marlins at Swim Canada's Nationals in Edmonton this July, and he's the first Marlin to qualify for this level while still in high school since Laura Murray did it 7 years ago. So that's quite an accomplishment for Gavin.
Well done.
He's also made the Atlantic All-Star team, and he's going to compete at the Tri-Meet in May of 2012. There was a short course East Coast Champs in PEI in March. 16 swimmers attended, and the team placed 7th out of 20 participating clubs, which is absolutely wonderful. And of course, every year the Marlins participate in the Swim for Hope, which is a fundraiser that is in support of the H. Bliss Murphy Cancer Care Foundation. It was held on March 9th, and I took a jot down there that night, and the kids, I tell you, come out of the water at 1 o'clock in the morning, get dried off, have something to eat, and go hop back in again. It is wild. This year they raised $14,000 to support cancer care and, of course, in swimming in the province. So it's quite a wonderful event. It's wonderful to see the children so community-minded by participating in this event. And I also want to compliment the adults, the volunteers, the coaches, the parents who participate in this as well, and go and spend the night with the young people so that they can enjoy this experience. So, again, they've been doing this for years, and they've made it a tremendous success once again. We have been advised of an email request from the ALS coordinator in the Mount Pearl area. They want to have their walk on June the 10th, starting at the Reed Center, with the route that goes along Olympic Drive, going left on Old Placentia Road, turning onto Ruth Avenue, and back onto Olympic Drive again. It's going to be an hour from start to finish. They're going to have their own forces there on hand to handle the walk, and of course we've received all their insurance certification, and we are also tabling this for information purposes only. We are also requesting approval to release the remaining budget balance funding of $80,000 to the Mount Pearl Sport Alliance for minor sport group use as per our MOU with the Mount Pearl Sport Alliance. And on that, I will require a motion, so I so move.
It is moved and seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
And of course, we should also compliment the Sport Alliance on the great work that they do on behalf of minor sport in our community, as they have been doing for years.
Absolutely.
The committee is recommending using the services of Transcontinental for the typesetting, artwork, design, printing, and folding of the 2012 Summer Activity Guide. The lowest quote received in the amount is $9,519 plus HST, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Questions? All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried.
And I'm so happy that we're talking about Summer Activity Guide right now. I can't even tell you. I'm not looking outside right now, but we're talking about it at
Amen.
least. That's it for community services.
Thank you very much. Community Services. We'll move to Corporate Services. Deputy Mayor Locke.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just 3 items here. The first is a request for professional development for our CAO to attend the Federation of Canadian Municipalities annual convention in Saskatoon from June 1st to the 4th of this year. And this is within the professional development and training policy, so I move that this be accepted.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Aker. Questions? All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
The next item, Your Worship, is an advertising request for the 2012 Etc. program. We're all familiar with this program that's been ongoing for 26 years or something. And it's being held this year from May the 8th to May the 12th at the Mount Pearl Glacier. And we're recommending approval of placing a 1/2-page ad at a cost of $225 plus tax. And I so move.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Aker. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
And the last item for me, Your Worship, has to do with invoices for approval. There are 9 outlined there, totaling $339,096.77. And I move that these amounts be accepted as presented.
Moved, seconded. Questions? Items 1 to 9, any questions, comments? We'll call it. All in favor? Contrary-minded?
Abstain for number 9.
Motion is carried with, well, you can't actually abstain.
From number 9.
No, you can't abstain. You can declare a conflict.
Okay.
And let the record show that that is the case. Okay, motion is carried with Councillor Stoyles not voting, declaring a conflict.
That's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're moving on to Engineering Services Committee. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one item this evening, and it's regards to the house at 107 Smallwood Drive. Of course, that's the house that the city has acquired in the interest of upgrading Arena Road. Engineering Services staff, we've contacted 4 companies to obtain quotes on the removal of hazmat material from the property. As you can see in your kit, the lowest quote was received from Power Vac Services in the amount of $11,500 plus HST. It's been noted that Power Vac Services has confirmed that the scope of the work will include the removal of all the hazardous material and the draining of the oil tank. And, of course, the city will be required to provide a water supply which will be used in the decontamination process. So the recommendation from the committee is that the committee recommends approval of the quote as supplied by Power Vac Services in the amount of $11,500 plus HST, and I so move.
It is moved, seconded by Councillor Stoyles. Can I ask, what is the hazardous material that's being removed? Is it asbestos? What's going on there? Mr. Randall.
Yes, hazardous material will include asbestos, lead paint. It could involve any number of smaller items that are hazardous contaminated materials. The tank, the oil is being removed from the tank.
Yeah.
We're not removing the tank yet. We couldn't do the actual ground samples to determine if there's any leaks in the ground because the ground was still frozen at the time. So we'll be more aware of that once we get into the actual hazardous material removal.
All right, but we're also removing the house, so that's why I'm wondering.
Yeah, you
how
remove
much of
the
this do we
hazardous
have to go
materials
through?
first, then you demolish the
And then
house.
we
We've
demolish
already
the
got
house.
a demolition quote as well. This is take care of hazardous materials first.
Okay,
So
thank you.
this is
Councillor
a-
Walsh?
Yeah, so does this quote from the successful bidder include any other mitigation efforts that might require after we examine the tank or the ground? It doesn't.
No.
Well, so it's really not what it says it is in terms of, I guess it is removing hazardous materials, but it's not including any and all potentially hazardous materials.
Except for the tank. It removes the oil from the tank. It doesn't remove the tank because we couldn't do samples of the ground because the
And
ground
it
was frozen.
removes
Once
all the
that's
material from the house.
Why-
this takes
Why wouldn't we wait then until the ground thaws and we have an opportunity to examine the tank and the ground around the tank and do it all at one time?
Well, the intention right now, Councillor Walsh, is to get the house down as quick as we can because we'll be doing the work as soon as we get the house down, widening of the access road. Then we'll do is once the lowest bidder gets in there, they'll actually complete some testing. We'll then either issue a change order to them if the price is reasonable. If there's no contamination found in the ground,
Yeah, we're moving
we can
forward.
take the tank out and move forward. If there is contamination, we have to go to another extent. But this advances some hazardous materials removal, gets the house demolished, the tank is outside.
And we can
continue
start
with
building
that
the road.
next stage.
Because we need the road, it's kind of a priority item. Councillor Aker?
So if I got this right, basically, this crowd will go in before we actually do the demolition. This is probably mostly to do with the joint compound, I guess, that's in the gyprock and that kind of stuff, and maybe some insulation in the house. They'll remove all that first. And then later on, what we'll do is we'll demolish the house, and then, when the snow is gone, we'll be in a position then to assess the ground, which may or may not require any remediation. I guess one of the lessons that we should probably learn is that when we buy a house, we should probably get an environmental audit done. I know we're ahead of the game on this particular one, but that might not be a bad idea because $10,000 is quite reasonable. But I guess our biggest worry, Mr. Antle, probably is about that is the oil, and it's a risk. We just don't know how to quantify it at this point in time. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. That all being said, I'll call the question, or do you want to close up? Do you want anything to add, Councillor Ledwell, to
No,
this?
just to add that, as Mr. Antle said, of course, we are trying to get this project complete in the interest of getting the construction done as early as possible with the upcoming summer season and the sports happening down there. To kind of expand the Arena Road would certainly help with the parking down there. So that is why I guess we're attempting to move this forward as quickly as possible. And with that, I guess the motion is made.
Okay, we thank you very much. Motion is made and moved. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. And that's it for engineering services, Councillor? That's all you had? Okay, thank you. We're going to planning and land use. Councillor Aker.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first item, mark on your calendar, Saturday, March 31st. Year end, by the way, for some of us in government. But on this particular night at 8:30, we celebrate Earth Hour. And Earth Hour is basically encouraging everyone to eliminate or reduce lighting or energy consumption for about an hour from 8:30 until 9:30 on a Saturday night. It doesn't mean you have to shut everything down. If there's essential services need to be run in your house or at your place of work, the idea is to minimize. And what we're trying to do here, Your Worship, is bring Canadians together to win the fight against climate change. And this is both a symbolic gesture as well as a practical gesture. Obviously, if we turn off our lights, we're consuming less electricity. Do that for your neighbors, and maybe your neighbors will join in, and makes us all aware, basically, how the electricity in our houses, how it powers everything. For example, the TV for the hockey game and all that good stuff. It basically doesn't come cheaply. There is a hidden cost in terms of climate change that's buried in all of those costs. For you Montreal or Toronto fans, you probably won't mind turning off your TV.
I'm going to say, why would you want to watch it anyway? It's,
for the Vancouver fans,
Really,
you
she
can turn
says.
on the TV around 12. What are you trying to say, Councillor? Yeah.
Well, what? You're not pretending they have a hockey team, are you?
So I'd ask my colleagues to please join with me in supporting Earth Hour on March 31st.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Everybody get a candle.
There you
It's
go.
great fun, trust me.
The next item, Your Worship, is development permit list for March 5th to the 16th, 2012. Permits numbers 13 through 16 are listed there, and I so move.
It is moved, seconded by Councillor Ledwell. Question or comment? All in favor? Contrary-minded, motion's carried.
All right. What? Turn down 15. Oh, is it?
That's right, that's Gerard.
We could have had a bit of fun with that.
That's Gerard, that's right. Yeah.
Residential building permits is the next thing, Your Worship, from
Yep.
March 3rd to the 16th. The total for the period is $247,000, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried.
For the same period, we also have the commercial building permits, and the period total is $190,800, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
The final thing, Your Worship, outside the kit relates to confirmation of two orders. One relates to 48 Bannister, where some renovations occurred in the business, and there's some construction debris still left behind in the back garden. And you see the order there, and it's my intention to ask my colleagues to endorse that order here today. The other order relates to the storage of tires related to, I think there's a renovation occurring at City Tire and Auto. And so they have temporarily stored their tires in another location, but unfortunately it doesn't meet the city's building standards, nor does it meet the fire code. So as a result, we're forced to issue this order here. It's kind of unfortunate, but we cannot, I guess as a city, we cannot basically put this building in the position where it's in danger, perhaps, of catching fire and all the consequences to do that. What's that? No, hey, right, So it's rather unfortunate, and again, we don't really enjoy taking this measure, but you see before you the cease and desist order here. Now, that's a very good question. I believe you have to remove the tires within 48 hours. Now, this is confirmation. 7 days? What's the 48 hours I'm reading here? To vacate the area presently utilized for tire storage and remove tires within 48 hours of receipt of this notice. The original notice. Okay. Yeah. So it is a fairly fast timeline. On the positive side, we have been talking to the owners of the building as well as the developer doing the renovation. So this is not coming as a surprise right now, but it's fairly urgent to get on this issue. There's great risk here if we don't act.
Well, it's the 20th today, or no, the
Today's the 20th. Yeah.
Yeah, and it says that the deficiency of notice was issued on March 1st, so this is not new.
No.
Confirmation. It's an
All right,
ongoing
we'll call a question on that then. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. That concludes committee reports. We're up to new business. We're going to start on my right this week. Councillor Ledwell.
Your Worship, as Councillor Walsh alluded to, even though you wouldn't know it out there, it is in fact spring, and of course with the passage of time into spring, we get into construction season. And just a little update, I guess, a little advisory for the public in that construction signs have now been posted on Topsail Road, down as you access from Park Avenue and Duns Road, and turn right on the Topsail Road, of course, the Team Gouju Highway. The construction is coming down across Topsail Road, so just an advisory to the public that watch out for those as you turn right on the Topsail Road, and be careful as you go through that area. So just a reminder there. Also, I wanted to offer congratulations to the students and staff of O'Donnell High School. As many of our colleagues here on council saw, they put off a great show very recently with their rendition of Legally Blonde, the musical that they put off at the Holy Heart Theatre. I did get out to see it, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So I wanted to share my kudos with them, or to them. I guess most people don't seem to know, but back when Councillor Walsh was principal at the school, and I was a student, I was actually in Greece when the first musical that they did. And while my musical theatre career has come to a screeching halt, there is certainly a great future ahead for the students who participated in that musical itself. So I want to congratulate the students, staff, parents and volunteers for putting off a fantastic show.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you. I was going to turn off my light rather than turn on my microphone. This is not a good day. Anyway, I just want to echo the sentiments on the Legally Blonde. We saw the musical on the closing night, and it was really, really well done. And just the students here, as we're going to see with the Et Cetera production, the high school students do productions of such tremendously high standards. I mean, you can't help but be beaming just as community leaders. You can imagine how the parents of these young people feel. In that show in particular, I was really struck by the magnitude of the lead role. I think that young girl was in almost every single scene. Shannon Hart, and she played a tremendous role. So I certainly echo the sentiments of my colleague here. Your Worship, at the beginning, we and here on the walls, the reason I'm pointing there, we're celebrating Multiculturalism Week this week. I sit, as some of you know, on the Provincial Human Rights Commission with a young man by the name of Remzi Sej. Remzi is himself a refugee, I guess, from Kosovo, came out of the country with his family under the most adverse conditions. He's a brilliant young man, and I know on Sunday one of the things that he's chair of the Human Rights Commission, and he's a scant 27 years old and is doing a great job in the work that he's doing. His activism goes well beyond a role of the Human Rights Commission. He's trying to do everything that he can do to not only advocate for and on behalf of human rights issues, but in his own personal life and in other affiliations, particularly as a social activist. I say all this because the launch of this week's Multiculturalism Week took place actually at the Rooms. I wasn't able to get there yesterday, but apparently there was a good crowd. Remzi did speak there and extended an invitation for me to go out there. But it was apparently a tremendous display of song and dance and language and culture, particularly on the part of young people who represented, I think, up to 15 or 16 different cultures and countries throughout the world. Tomorrow, however, is a day that marks and brings awareness to international racial discrimination. So while we celebrate for the entire week, racial and cultural diversity, excuse me, tomorrow we actually take a day to focus on some of the discrimination and the adverse sides of things that happen, not only in other parts of the world, but sadly even sometimes within our own country. So I think the message for the week is to embrace multiculturalism, to embrace our differences, and to develop a broader and stronger spirit of tolerance in our race, our language, religion, ethnicity, and culture. I mean, these are also very, very important. So tomorrow is also a special day. In fact, he wasn't able to do it, but I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and I think I talked to our Director of Planning and Infrastructure about it, actually having Remzi come in and do a proclamation about tomorrow as well, because it's such an important day, and I just wanted to highlight that as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillor Stoyles?
I do have a couple of things, Your Worship. First of all, I want to mention that Rotary had a speak-off a couple of weeks ago, and Megan House from O'Donnell High School won first place, and I'd like us to send her a letter congratulating her on that. And Morgan Squibb entered actually with several people from Mount Pearl in the Miss Teen Newfoundland pageant, but Morgan won Miss Friendship, and I would like for you to send out a letter to Miss Squibb also. Both of these young ladies also was in Legally Blonde, and imagine the time it takes, just alone being in the production of Legally Blonde, but the time that it takes being into everything else. These young people are so involved in so much in our community. I too attended the show on the opening night, and I noticed a couple of other councillors there as well, and I must say it was certainly enjoyable. When I went, I had my grandson home. I was only going to stay for an hour, and it was so enjoyable that I ended up staying for the whole evening, and what an evening it was. And of course, hats off to them as well. Also, Your Worship, I want to mention that we're doing a regional meeting for municipalities Newfoundland, Labrador and Bay Roberts on March 30th and 31st, and we have a couple of guest speakers. Scotty Andrews is going to be the lunchtime speaker on Saturday. Scotty is the MP for the Avalon, and we're looking forward to having all the council around the Avalon attend the meeting. And that's it, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Aker.
A couple things, Your Worship. I too wanted to extend congratulations to O'Donnell on the Legally Blonde production. I went out on the first night, and it was flawless, which reflects not only the talent and the organization behind the production, but also reflects all the practice and the hard work they went into it. So I thought it was top notch. Shanna Hart, I don't believe has trained musically over the years. She stepped up basically probably in September for this role. And in a short course of a few months, basically, she was the star of that night. But I really don't, we all don't really like singling out anybody in particular. I thought they were all stars that night, especially the people in the orchestra pit, the people you don't see behind the scenes that manage the stage, as well as some of the teachers and the parents who helped out with the whole evening. The only other thing, Your Worship, I want to bring to everybody's attention, going through Donovan's these days, Donovan's Industrial Park, especially in the new area, what was called, I think, was Phase 3 or Phase 4. The roads are really in bad shape, and I'm sure some of that is because of the frost heave that's occurred over this past winter. We've had a lot of cooling and a lot of warming, a lot of snow, a lot of evaporation. And I wonder if engineering could perhaps put some of the streets in Donovan's on our street list for this year. And I also want to highlight in the area across from Donovan's Irving, I think this is on Bruce Street, the road is really beat up. Are we in a position to do any pothole patching this time of the year if necessary? Because my sense of it is, as the road starts to open up, and this is still only March, this is going to continue probably for a couple months before the asphalt plant's open. This is only going to get worse before it gets better. Are we better off maybe doing a bit of patching so that ultimately we can... Have we? No? Jerry?
Yes, we've been starting patching for the past couple of weeks now. We actually spoke about it this morning. There's an area in Donovan's Glencoe is in really bad shape, and we're going to go over there now with our asphalt recycler. We can do some small patches with actually some hot asphalt and try that one this week as well. So there are, yes, lots of areas we have heaving and potholes occurring around a regular basis. We're attempting to fill each one.
Councillor Tessier, Deputy Mayor.
I just have a couple of items, Your Worship. First of all, someone asked me to pass this on. During the sleet storm that we had there last week, the freezing and stuff like that, at my place of work at the school, many of the teachers who come from outside the city really complimented just how well maintained our city streets were done on that particular morning. So I just want to throw that out there, and they were very well done. I got to say, I know it started and it was on and off. It occurred a little later than they thought, but they were Johnny on the spot and Susie on the spot, to be politically correct. So, Mr. Antley, if you would pass it on to our workers, that it was certainly noticeable. Also, I want to extend a congratulations to the O'Donnell students. Working with high school students, I'm full aware on a daily basis of the the skill set and the talents that our students have. And many times, they get a black eye in the media for, the poor decisions of a few. But I say it, and I always say it, that most of our students are very good human beings, and they got good hearts, and they're community-minded. And it's a delight to see these showcases of our students' talent. So congratulations to all involved with the O'Donnell production. And my final item has to do with the Junior Blades. They advanced. They beat the Avalon team Sunday night, so they're now on to the championship round. I do believe they're playing St. John's.
Yep.
And it starts tomorrow evening, I do believe.
Yep.
So it was a very good hockey game Sunday night. I was up there, I was able to take this one in. The pace was incredible. It was a very entertaining game of hockey, and I trust this next series is also going to be good hockey. So again, congratulations for their work. I'm not sure. I think it may be at the Glacier 1. So just encourage people to go out and support the team because they're having a super year, and I think they're in a very good position to win the title this year.
Take it all.
That's it.
Amen.
That's it from your worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Stoyles. We stand adjourned.